Hey, everybody, this is Not a Journalist with Brian Holiday, and I'm talking with Tristan D. Lalla, a Montreal playwright, actor, director, um, Renaissance man, activist, spokesperson. Sir, there is so many things on that list of what you do that I gotta say. First of all, thank you, and also impressive.
No, man, pleasure. Thank you for doing this and keeping this going. And yeah, it's good to talk. So what's up? What's up, Doc? Any birds and bugs?
Yeah, I reached out to you because I've been doing a whole bunch of Not a Journalist episodes and talking to a bunch of different people. And I hope this isn't a weird one, but you're one of the people
Oh
that,
God.
not in a bad way, but I was more
Okay.
nervous about asking to talk with you because I definitely, and I said that in the intro, you do so many things that I was
Hmm.
nervous to ask to talk to you. One, because I was just like, I don't want to waste his time. He has so much that he's doing that I'm just like, I don't want to be this like, hey, how you been?
No, no, no. Come on now, no.
But genuinely, like, it's also I've seen you like it's also that thing of like seeing someone, even if I've seen you in person, seeing someone on TV always adds that slight feeling of like, oh, okay. I mean, they're approachable, but at the same time, they're doing things. So you get a little bit more nervous about that interaction. Um,
I guess I never feel that because because I do the thing and I'm like that is my world.
yeah.
So
Well, that's what I was going to
I don't
ask
feel
you.
that. Yeah.
When you first started, what was it like working with? Because you start off and you're working with like a few people, and then you start to like get bigger roles, and you're working with like people that you've seen do things. What was that kind of first initial? Who was the first person that you were just like, oh snap, and what was it like as you saw yourself glow up to these different projects?
Sure. So my first project ever, I worked with David Duchovny from X-Files.
Hot damn. Okay.
Um, and he was cool. Like I was only there for like maybe 2 days. Not even like during the whole shoot or anything. It was this movie called. In the end, it was called The Secret.
Mm.
My role was Fubu Boy because they're like, "Oh, we need a black guy with a Fubu shirt." I'm like, "Okay." I played his daughter's boyfriend, and then in the edit, I was just like a guy in school who had on a blue T-shirt because they took the Fubu T-shirt off me.
Oh.
Um, but my name was still Fubu Boy, right? So anyway, that's a whole other story. But it was, I guess in the beginning, I felt the same way
Mm.
because you see these people doing these things. You grow up watching shows like The X Files, and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's right there in person." You say hello, you eat lunch, whatever, and then it just kind of becomes part of the normal thing.
Yeah.
But you quickly realize that these are just people too, artists, actors. People here, actor.
Yeah.
Most people who this business like is mystified. Who not is mystified. Most people who are like, "Whoa, you're an actor. You must be like tons of money." And I'm like, "You don't understand what that means. Actor means actor. It doesn't mean millionaire or
Yeah.
celebrity. It means the art comes first."
Mm.
And those of us who do the art understand that even those who have achieved greatness and tons of tens of thousands of millions of dollars,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're still just people first.
Yeah.
And then you learn to appreciate that they can work at that level and still just be people. But it's how the rest of the world thinks they see you, right? Not how you see yourself.
True. True.
And that's really what
True.
changes the dynamic between those celebrities who are approachable at like the cons and stuff who sign autographs and take photos or who charge like no money or $10 instead of like 75
Oh,
bucks
bless them.
like
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's such a gap, but I'm sure we'll get to that. So yeah.
And so that was the first project. Oh, man, David. See, like even just that story, I'm just like David Duchovny is in the first project. That sounds insane, but so cool. Uh,
It's a good movie too. It's a good movie.
I gotta
You see
watch
me
it.
for like 4 seconds, but it's a good movie.
Hey, man, that's part of the fun sometimes when you see your friends and people when they're starting off, and you're just like, oh, there you are. Uh,
Yeah.
so at the beginning, I mentioned all the different things that you do. Is there one that you feel is the where you start? Like, are you
Yeah.
an actor first? Are you a playwright first? Are you a like which one do you say is the first?
I'm an actor first.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I've always like even as a kid and like when I was a young kid, when I was older, chubbier kid, and then I went as I was a chubby teenager and all this stuff. I was always that kid who was drawing or painting or sculpting or smashing things or reconstructing things. I like to play with like crayons and wax,
Mm.
tons of like different paints and scrapbooking, and I was always just creating something tangibly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a really bad speech impediment until I was about like 8, 9 years old. I couldn't really speak properly, or I didn't have the confidence to because I would get nosebleeds, I would stutter, like all the
Oh,
time.
okay.
I lock myself in the bathroom with books, just practicing how to like speak out loud and say things out loud. Words I've said before, books I've read before, but it wasn't until I was able to, I don't know how, but one day it all just kind of stopped,
Yeah.
and gradually I found my voice and was able to use that to make my art vocally as well,
Yeah.
or verbally rather. And then so I got into like public speaking, got into like a lot of like student council stuff
Oh,
in
dope.
school, got into drama class and all that, and just performing on stage verbally and vocally. And then I was like, oh, this is I am my instrument. It's not just a paintbrush or a saxophone or a box of crayons. It's me.
Yeah.
I can use it. I can paint the thing using me, and then the floodgates kind of open from there. Yeah,
Yo, that sounds like a really dope realization to have. That moment where you can realize I
yeah.
am that inner. It's funny. I just had a conversation with someone. We were talking about spirituality, and she said similarly, like with the moment you realize that it's inward out and not outward in, it changes your whole
Always,
perspective.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I'm starting to feel like that might be one of the biggest lessons I'm learning in all these conversations. A lot of people are talking about how like I discovered this about within myself and was able to project it out in this way. Uh,
Yeah,
when you started,
same for me. Yeah.
yeah, when you started writing like plays and stuff or works, was that just was that an expression of the inward out? Was it I mean, I guess it's actually I'll let you answer because I was like starting to picture and like formulate that like the meme with the woman with the math equations around her head. I started seeing things as I was saying it.
I
But
would say like most of the things I wouldn't I wouldn't consider myself a playwright
mm.
because all the plays that I've started I haven't finished. They're all sitting in a I'm looking at the chest. I have a big chest in front of me in the living room with all my old books, and like there's tons of I have tons of books of songs.
Mm.
Like I wrote a lot of songs and poems. That was my thing. But all the plays or stories, I've written some stories, but like all the plays and scripts that I've written,
Hmm.
none of them are finished. They're
Okay.
finished in my head,
Yeah, yeah.
but I still don't, I haven't acquired that tool yet of how to put that onto paper properly. I will
Mm.
someday, um, but yeah, I would say way more poetry and songs
Okay.
than plays. Yeah,
Does it ever feel like I know sometimes for me one of the reasons I don't like to finish things is because I like the idea of the world I've built.
yeah.
Like I know when I was younger, I started writing, and I wrote like I easily wrote maybe like 1,000 pages. Just I just had this fictional character named Maverick, and he was in a weird apocalyptic world, and his girlfriend was named Mahogany, and they dealt with barons in different areas. And every time I came close to finishing it, I would be like, but then like, but this could happen, and then I was just it was just the idea of like finishing it felt like I was gonna almost felt weird to me, felt like I was killing the character because to
Mm.
finish it meant they weren't going to. I mean, I could write sequels, but that felt to me like a weird close, and I was like shutting them down. And I was like, I can't. And then my computer crashed, and I lost everything, and I cried for 2 days. But back in the era
I mean, like
backups.
part of that too is I think it's maybe like fear based
Mm,
because I come from the same place, but like on top of having that same thought of like, oh, I don't want to do that because then it's over.
yeah.
Part of it is always in the back of the mind. I don't really. What if they don't like it? What if nobody
Mm.
reads it? What if? How do I do this? That'll be momentary. So,
Don't worry, don't worry.
it's quarantine time,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys,
I get it.
smoothie life, dude. I've been doing the same thing. My partner's a nurse, so
Yeah,
she's going to work still, and it's always funny when I'm like gaming as she's getting ready to leave for work. She'll be like, "Sorry," and then like the loudest like blender sound on earth. And in my head, I'm just like, "Why are you apologizing to me? You're
Yeah,
making this smoothie to give yourself the energy to go do a night shift at a hospital,
yeah.
and my lazy butt is just sitting here playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the 15th hour. Like, don't
I've
worry."
been rotating the same two outfits for the last month and a
Yeah.
half. Like I've not put on any pants that are like stiffer than my beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything is this pair of shorts I'm wearing, or there's two pairs of boxers and there's a pair of shorts and a pair of track pants. I've just been like, I wear it, wash it, wear it, wash it, wear it, wash it. When I'm
Yeah.
not in one, the other one's washing. I hang it up, whatever, and I put that on when I come out the shower. It's like rotate.
Yeah, you know it's true. Yeah, comfort life is probably. Do you feel like that's going to turn you into one of those like the Steve Jobs of the world, where they say like you just one of the things that those like hyper geniuses do is they wear one outfit because it limits, they don't have to express use mental energy on
Oh
how they
no,
appear. No.
no, 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 no. Can I curse on this?
Yeah, yeah, by all
Is this
means.
clean? Yeah. No, fuck no. No, no. I am very much grateful for the simplicity that this time is bringing,
Mm,
but also like I miss my clothes.
yeah.
I miss fashion.
Mm,
You know, I'm not the most fashionable guy, but like I like my outfits, and I got some stuff that
yeah.
I like shoes, and I like my one bones tops, and I like to just wear my stuff, and I haven't been because I have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the point, right? But
So
sorry, did you ask? So, no, never mind.
no,
Continue.
the blender went, and then we kept talking, and I kept
Right.
talking. I gotta ask, man. So I'm not in the. Oh, actually, you know what? So today, when this whole thing, when I knew we were gonna be talking, there was one question that I really tried to like figure out how to formulate. So I'm gonna try my best to say it properly right now,
Okay.
because sometimes you're trying to you get in your head. In a world where we are so focused on, we appreciate art, but we don't necessarily see the value in the art,
Mm,
right? So people are willing to go see a movie, but they won't necessarily want to support the book company where those books come from. You know what I mean?
right. Right.
How do we try and explain to people that they're all connected and we should do our best to support all of it, and we can't only support
Excuse me.
the major blockbusters all the time? Like,
Absolutely.
essentially, how do I get people to
Um.
understand my comic book shop is gonna die, and I want my comic book shop to survive? And if you guys are
Right.
going to these Marvel movies but not supporting these comic book shops, then the comic books don't live. Like, how do I get? What do I do?
Wow. 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 That's a good question. In a world
Yeah,
where,
I tried, man. I tried.
you know, like one man, one desire. So I would say, like, especially in recent years with like just the boom of everything, right?
Mm.
It's important that we. Hmm. Okay, that's a good question.
Like I've honestly been thinking about it so much because I keep like my comic book shop guy called me up the other day, and he's just like I owed him for like 12 issues that were there for me in my bag, and I was just like,
Mm.
he's just like, "Hey, do you mind settling up and then coming to pick them up?" And I'm just like, "No, of course not, man." And then him and I just start talking about the comic book industry right now is like a really weird mess where like the company that does this distribution for everybody has essentially said we're not delivering anything. And then some of the comic book companies were just like, well, you can't just do that, we still want our comics to be going out to people. So they turned
Right.
around and they started going to smaller distributors. And one of the reasons having one distributor was a bad thing was because of this, but one of the reasons it was good was because comic book shops saved a lot of money by ordering in bulk. So when you're ordering like DC, Marvel, Image, Vertigo, Dark Horse, Icon, and all those different labels, you get a huge discount because you're ordering all of that bulk. And
Mm.
now because they shut down and no one's getting anything, he's turning around and having trouble. So that
I,
really hit me that we spent all this money on movies, but
I think it's like twofold or more than one fold,
mm,
whatever that expression is. Uh, because there's the art and then there's the business of it, right?
Mm.
So in terms of the art being consumed by people like stuff like Black Panther or Marvel, anything, Avengers, whatever, um, we're all gonna love. We all love these things, right? We're all gonna go out there and see the thing because it's not about seeing the movie; it's about having the experience in the theater with everybody.
True.
When you see Captain America pick up Thor's hammer,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Oh, just
sir,
what a moment!
that
10 year,
scene.
10 years of character building
Yo,
in the
facts.
films, and then just decades of comics, and then you finally see it happen, and everybody's losing their shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
So
a
like just the look on your face right now is
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It's
exactly.
big
But
moments.
then there's this business side of it of like, how do we sell the things? How do we
Mm,
get the money? How do we make the profit? And sadly, a lot of the local or smaller things usually
mm,
fall through the cracks because you know what? I'm not even gonna say that. I think at the end of the day, if something is good,
mm-hmm.
like really good, if something's great,
Yeah.
people will take it in, consume it, buy it, whatever.
Mm,
But if something is better than that, that's what's gonna get the attention.
okay.
And so, like, I think it's important that we act locally, think globally in terms of like getting the art out. But, even like when I started doing theater when I was, young, everything was here, small plays,
Mm-hmm.
no budget, low budget. And then, I move up, I go to theater school, I do the Shakespeare in the Park stuff, and I'm making like, couple $100 a week, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like now recently, like, in recent years, I've been on stage at Canada's National Arts Center like a whole bunch of times. I
Amazing.
just had like my 14th callback for Hamilton on
Oh,
Broadway.
dude, that's
Like,
dope.
yeah, like, but like things can't get to that level sometimes unless you start where you are.
Yeah.
You make that really good, and then
Yeah.
you build it, build it, build it. And sometimes when people try to jump the gun or think, oh man, I did those three things, I'm fucking great, and
Yeah.
then they want to like go to Hollywood. I'm like, yeah, that happens sometimes, but really,
Yeah.
like, okay, what if they throw you the opportunity and you're not ready for it? Then
Mm,
what? Then you've wasted it anyway. So I think in terms of animators, in terms of writers, in terms of directors, actors, whatever your thing is, you got to make it good. You got to make it so that you can do the thing when called upon, and you got to make it like good is not good enough. Good is just
yeah.
like that's what the base should be, but it's got
Yeah.
to be great and it's got to be your best. It's got to be your voice. Otherwise, somebody else whose voice is authentic, who's doing the great thing, their stuff is going to get consumed, and that's sadly the reality. And Marvel, and not to harp on Marvel, but like all these films now, DC, everybody, um, they make things at such a high caliber quality. Their budget is so crazy
Yeah.
that unless you're doing something that's really fucking interesting, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
So that's just
Yeah.
how it is.
It's facts, man. It's yeah. I mean, I remember I was listening to a podcast and someone was explaining that once the MCU started building momentum, every studio that you walked into wanted you to have a universe and not just a story. And
Yeah,
they were saying it was hard because you can't. Not everyone plans a universe. Most people don't plan a universe. Like,
right,
it's not like, and that's one of the things I think it brings it back to what I was saying. Marvel didn't start as a universe. They were
right,
creating characters who happened to be in the same world, but it was kind of just like, and I always think about this when something insane happens in the Fantastic Four in the comic book. Why what doesn't Spider-Man show up if he lives
mm,
in New York too?
right.
But
Down the
that's
street, yeah,
yeah, but that was the thing, right? Like you have Daredevil, you have Luke Cage. They all live in New York, but something's happening,
yeah,
and you're reading this story, and you were talking like huge fights in downtown New York where Spider-Man is throwing someone through a window, and none of the other superheroes hear anything about it or show up. And that was the old school approach. It was just like this
right,
character lives in New York, but these are his story, and these characters live in New York, and this is their story. But then you start putting everything together in universes, and you did that for, like you were saying, decades of storytelling. But now you at the movie studio want someone to walk through the door with a universe planned out that compared to these guys who's been doing it for 40, 50 years. But we want you in 2 weeks to have planned this universe out for us.
and also and they want the same thing, right? They want the
Mm,
formula. They're like, who's the leader?
yeah.
Who's like the woman with half the costume on?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's the aquatic character. Like, they just want a formula because they
Yeah.
see that that works and they want to copy it and make their money.
Yeah.
And so to take a risk on a new idea is harder, but it happens all the time. People get
Yeah.
through, even gaming companies. You see all these little indie companies,
Yeah.
make their way through and make these great games, but the games have to be great. The concepts
Yeah.
and people behind it have to be like on top of their shit.
Yeah. You've done voiceover for games. You've done mocap for games. What is it like? What first of all, what's the huge difference between what you can do with mocap and acting versus what you do with, I mean, besides the obvious, because I mean,
Mm,
you're obviously not in a leotard with like the dots and the things when you're on
right.
stage. But like, what are the biggest differences in acting that you felt or noticed between the two?
Whew, I mean, like, there's a lot of freedom. There's so much freedom in the mocap studio.
Mm.
Um, to date, I've worked on maybe like somewhere between 45 and 50 games.
God damn!
Um,
Every
yeah,
time I hear
most
you
like,
say that, that sounds so fucking amazing.
I mean, it's kind of wild in the last decade how much games have evolved,
Mm.
and especially in Montreal because this is the hub of so many great ideas
Yeah.
technologically, and all the studios started here. So, I've been in like 8 Assassin's Creed games. I played
Wow.
leads in 3 of them. Uh, all the Far Cry games, all the Deus Ex games, all of the Division, Watchdog games. Like,
Yeah.
I've done all those. There's a lot. There's a lot. I would say there's a lot. Being in a mocap suit is like the marriage between being on set for a film and being on stage for theater,
Oh, interesting.
because you don't get to do like a part of a scene in a mocap suit. You do the entirety of the whole scene. It could be 14 pages, it could be 7 pages, it could be 3 lines, but you do the whole thing.
Yeah.
In the room, there's like 142 cameras
Uh,
all over the place, like infrared cameras getting all of your body's movement. Then you have on the helmet getting your facial movement,
yeah.
and then you have microphones getting all your audio performance at the same time. So, and there's other camera guys in the room with HD cameras,
Yeah.
like filming it like a movie. So they can like zoom in and move things if they want to get more cinematic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When they edit it, so you really get the freedom, all the freedom just to play and imagine the worlds around you, because there's no set. Usually there's like some crates or some like foam swords,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to see, the ocean. You have to see the buildings. You got to see, you
Oh,
know, vampires or whatever it is. You just have to imagine it,
that is
and you
that
have
is
this
dope.
big 40-foot volume to do that. Yeah, and sometimes it's really daunting, and sometimes it's really easy. But every game is completely different,
Mm.
and depending on who's like what the team is directing the game and producing it, and everybody has a different style or feel that they want. But yeah, it's really freeing to be in the, it's kind of like it's a whole new world between theater and film for sure.
Yeah. Has there ever been, because the way you described it, so you're using your imagination. They've kind of given you the idea of what it's going to look like. Has there
Yeah,
ever been an instance where you've imagined it and then what you saw was even more amazing than you imagined?
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some things I'm like, oh yeah, you guys gonna make that? Okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then while I'm doing it, I'm like, this is gonna be
Yeah.
terrible. And then, but then you see it, and it's like, oh wow, they pulled that off. I never thought that would look like that. Or
Yeah.
and sometimes while you're doing it, like live in the room, you can see your skeleton walking through like different shapes
Mm,
to get
okay.
the idea of it, like live. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, you see the scale of things and how things interact and connect and whatever. But until you see it fully polished, delivered on the console, it's a whole different process. And the important thing with any type of acting, especially in a mocap suit, um, that's not my job, right?
Hmm.
Seeing the finished product is not my job.
Yeah.
There's going to be tons of animators and
Yeah.
editors and colorists and people shading the left side of the building for 2 years. That
Yeah, true.
seriously, literally,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like, I
no,
know a
that's
guy that's his job, right?
god
And it's
damn.
like but I can't think of the finished product. I just got to do the scene.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay,
And
that's cool.
so like that's when you put that into perspective, like everybody has their role to play until the thing is finished, and you don't have to be the finished product. You just got to do what you got to do
Yeah.
and tell the story and be the character, and then they get to bring you to life, really.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It kind of takes the pressure off and makes it fun.
Oh, yeah. Yo, shit. I didn't even think about that. I would feel, yeah, I mean, already I'm not an actor. So just if I was thrown into that situation, I'd already be freaked out. But even if I was an actor, I would hope that I would be able to let go the way you're describing, because I feel like I'm the type of person where I like to try and visualize things. So I'd be constantly be trying to visualize what they're going to do. And I feel like
Right.
I'd get in my head so much trying to but you're right that the whole idea that, dude, you do your part because someone else is going to build so much around you that you are acting in the role, but the character is more than just you. It's a team
Mm.
that's building this person that these people are going to
Mm.
play at, or this NPC that they're going to interact with and whatnot.
And let me link it back to what you started talking about at the beginning, like in terms of spirituality, right? Like,
Mm.
let's say this. I like this analogy somebody told me one time. Let's say you're on a highway driving from Toronto to Montreal at nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
right? You like your GPS tells you, okay, this is the route, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, this is where you go, but all you can see in front of you while you're driving is like the 6 feet that your car is lighting up
Yeah. Yeah.
on the highway. You just got to trust that the highway is there, that it's there, that it's there,
Oh,
that it's there, that it's there, all the way across. Like that's life, literally for me. Like I don't know what
hot damn.
I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
but it's more important how I'm getting there. The destination is always like secondary to the journey. You know what I
That is
mean?
one hell of dude. That's dope. That is a really great analogy.
Because when it's not like when people are like, no, I'm going there, and I know how I'm getting there, and I know what's gonna happen. It's like, oh yeah, and then you get on the
Yeah.
road and you get a detour, or you get
Yeah.
like somebody calls and your building's on fire. Oh, detour.
Yeah.
Oh, you had this breakup. Detour. Oh shit, you broke your leg. Detour. Oh, you lost your wallet. Detour. Like that's
Fuck.
literally life.
Yeah.
So it's like when you let go of the destination
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you just like be now,
Yeah.
here, moment. 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet. Be in the moment. Someone else is gonna edit it once the finished product is done. It's not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Like it's your responsibility to be, a good human being and not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But you can't control the world, right?
Yeah.
All you're in charge of is yourself and what you do with your time now and now and now and now. And that's
Hot damn.
most times I fail, but that's how I try. That's how I try to live because
I respect that though.
and especially during all this quarantine shit, like I'm usually the annoying optimist in every circle of
Mm.
friends. I'm the sponge, I'm the owl, I'm the anchor.
Oh yeah,
This has
similarly.
been
Yeah.
I've been fucking useless. Let me
Oh,
say
dude.
it publicly.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
it's dude,
I
it's
get that vibe.
terrible. Like
Yeah.
I've like it's hour to hour I gotta check in and be like, am I staying on this side of the couch today or this side of the couch? Yeah, let me go on this side of the couch. And it's like that's my day, really?
Yeah. Yo, dude,
And
I
it's hard for me to think that, but yeah, go ahead.
no. But I was gonna say, like, my friends jokingly, because I love Transformers, so my friend jokingly calls me Optimist Prime, because I'm just always optimistic about everything. And when the situation
Right.
started, I like to also live in facts. So when it all started and people were just like, this is how the situation is playing out, I like looked at it and I was just like, okay, we're looking at like 6 to 8 weeks of of quarantine and isolation. We're gonna flatten the curve, and then my partner who works at the hospital, that nurses and stuff are getting like these updated reports from the hospital regularly about what's going on.
Yeah.
So she's telling me like, and I even made it public on my podcast. I think the day she told me when we did the episode for Geektastic, I was just like, just a heads up, folks, that it's 6 to 8 weeks for us to try and flatten the curve. But the major thing is, until we get a vaccine, this thing is going to keep cycling back. So
Yeah.
we are going to live either in quarantine or in this new world where there's social distancing, wearing masks, wearing gloves, and following those types of protocols until a vaccine is developed. And I was just like, and I was saying it to myself more than saying it to the people who were listening. Like I was telling myself, like, this is what's going to happen. And I was trying to
Yeah.
tell myself, be optimistic, because there's a plan. There's like a logical plan. But then I turn on the news, and the news is just like, presidents telling people to drink Clorox or whatever, and people like going to church and saying, I'm covered in the blood of Christ, I'm gonna be good. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what is happening right now? And like the optimist in me was just like, it's okay, you can't control stupid, just stay on your path. But at the same time, a small voice is just like, but they're gonna ruin everything for everybody. And I was like, uh-oh.
Man, let me tell you, there's I've been failing, but I've been trying not to look at Twitter too much or CNN and all this shit. I like to keep up daily with what's happening around the world and what's happening, especially locally rather.
Yeah.
Here in Quebec. But Chester Cheeto is crazy. Anyway, like when all this started, so I was in Toronto shooting on season 2 of the show that I'm on, Nurses.
Yeah.
And we were like, mid-episode, and I got my call time for the next day. Cool. And then I also get a follow-up email right after being like, oh, we're going to shut everything down for 2 weeks because of the spread of this thing. So, we're just going to take a small hiatus. And everybody's like, cool. A day after that, we realized this is not going to be a 2-week hiatus.
Yeah.
And I was by myself there, locked up for a couple weeks just to, stay safe and whatever.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching the TV like nonstop, just looking at screens, my life became screens.
Yeah.
My phone's there, my iPad's there, the TV was there, and I'm like, why am I looking at screens all day? I brought 2 books with me. I'm not reading them. Like
escaping my imagination.
Why am I becoming obsessed with this thing? And it was just like this spiral of wanting to be in some type of control. And again,
yes.
you can't, because life itself is one thing, but then you add this pandemic to the mix, and it's like, really? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And so it became like this, even now, like I try to stay off Twitter, but it's like daily.
Yeah.
There's something that is just so crazy that happens usually down there.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, what is like, are we that fucking stupid? People are outside protesting a pandemic. How do you protest, Doc? How do you protest a pandemic? And then you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
And go to the hospital.
Yeah. And
people are now learning what it is to be pro-choice. Like,
Yo. That has been one of my favorite memes, where it's just like, oh, it's funny how the government needs to stay off of our bodies when it's like they have to control our bodies when it's abortion, but when it comes to protecting the greater good of a entire city, county, all that stuff, it's just like, nah, man, forget that. You can't control me. I should be out in these streets.
It's these people like,
I need a haircut.
Yo,
I need lawn fertilizer. Oh my God. It's infringing on our American rights.
Dude,
like,
it is.
You have to be alive to have rights.
Yo.
So how the fuck are you gonna do that if you're dead from coronavirus?
It is the most interesting thing to see.
I don't get it.
People take like, and I remember when Evangeline Lilly did initially talked about it and had that huge backlash, where she talked about how, like she was taking pictures and posting, and everyone was just like, oh, you should be in quarantine, you should be ashamed. And she's just like, I'm immunocompromised, and so is my dad. So people were even more upset. They're just like, wait, what? And then she had to backpedal and apologize when word got out that, supposedly Disney was talking about maybe getting someone else for the Wasp. All of a sudden, these apologies started showing up. And I remember thinking, like, wow, I was just like, hopefully she got the message. This is a serious thing. But then to see, like, she's not the only one who has that mentality. Like, I can't, like, and at least when she said it, when I read what she wrote and explained, she was trying to say, like, she apologized and said, like, no, I definitely wasn't as informed as I should have been, and I should have been careful with what I was saying on my platform. And she started to explain it. I was just like, okay, I might give you a little bit of a pass. You get a little bit of rope because it sounds like you just generally didn't realize what was going on. But some of these other people, it's been like a month and a half of this.
It's crazy.
You saying you want to go get your hair did is crazy. Like, like, why? Also, like, whoever wants to do your hair, is it because that's the flip side, right? And this is the only way and the only side that I'm starting to give them a little bit of understanding is capitalism is set up in such a way that so many people are hurting. Like someone tweeted, our entire economy shouldn't crash because we can't eat out every night. And I was just like, shit, that's a pretty heavy statement, but that might be facts right there. Cause like
there are other ways to live besides capitalist models. Like,
yeah,
there are lots of other, and all over the world, there are other ways to live that happen every day. But you like, that's literally what it is. It's like, we need fried chicken. We need fries. It's like,
we need,
do you? Like,
we need to be able to spend.
Every commercial on TV right now is like, in this difficult time.
Yeah.
It's like, we get it, Arby's. It's a difficult time. I don't want your cheeseburger. Like, it's so stupid. I'm like, what's happening? Like, here's 10% off coupon.
Oh, shit.
You know,
we get it, Arby's. So that's a fucking great line.
fucking dumb, bro.
Yo, yeah, man. I mean, this quarantine stuff has been pretty intense. It's a serious thing. Like, this whole thing started with me doing these daily podcasts because I got laid off, and I remember when I was on the call, being sad and upset, but also realizing like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The field that I was in, I was programming playlists for retail and public spaces and commercial spaces. So I understand that when there are no commercial spaces open, you don't need someone to program the music, and I got that, and I wasn't upset with them, but it's just those crazy domino effects of like, we close the businesses, and then these people get put on layoffs, and then these people can't spend money, so these other businesses have to. And I was just like, man, that domino's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Yeah. Because it affects everybody. Like, I don't know if you've seen what's happening out west right now in Vancouver on the Fresh Coast. They're like, the city has been putting a lot of people who are homeless in hotels.
Oh, okay.
Because they realize, as this domino happens and people, start to go back outside, the people who were outside the whole time might affect everyone else, and they should be taken care of too, right? So, thank God.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to read up on that.
Yeah, at first there were like little tent towns, but like people have actually been putting, people are actually having been put in hotels to protect them and make sure they're okay and care for them. And like, I think of it in terms of so let's say this wave slows down, and then they start reopening things. Like, I don't know how you close an economy, but they reopen the economy. Like, somebody like
the economy is like like a door. There's just a door to the economy. You just close it. You're like, there we go, guys.
I was working with June Diane Raphael from Frankie and Drake on this movie Long Shot.
Dope, yeah.
And she tweeted the other day. She's like, "Can someone get me tickets to the reopening of the economy? I want to invite." And it's like, what an absurd thing. It's true. It's like, how do you reopen something that's not closed anyway? But it's like my line of work, for instance, it's very, very intimate, very people based.
Yeah.
A film set, a TV set has hundreds of people on it every day.
Yeah. And
it's hard to do a scene without touching somebody, or on a show like Nurses to not be in a hospital. Right?
Yeah.
Touching patients, taking temperatures, and it's like, whenever we get to start back, it's going to be I think it's going to be delayed a lot.
Yeah.
Because of everybody outside protesting now and all this shit.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, like, the whole model of how we have to work safely is going to have to be reinvented, and it's a scary thought because it means work is going to be out for a while. So, we're all just here trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And when you don't feel creative in your home, and it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I guess it's this side of the couch today.
Yo, man, I didn't even think about it. Like, in my head, I was just like, yeah, once TV starts back, it starts back. Everyone just jumps back in the pool. They just all have to wear a mask until they get in front of the camera. Then it's just like, you like take off the mask and throw it over to the side, and you do your scene, and then you run over to someone with Purell, wipe your hands, put your mask back on you. But I mean, no, there's like you said, hundreds of people interacting, moving stuff, equipment, touching. Yeah, I'm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do you know Vincent Stephen Ong, the
Yeah.
band leader? Yeah. So Vincent and I are going to be talking on the show. This episode's going to air on Friday, but for those of you who don't know, it's being recorded on Monday. Um, but I'm going to be talking to.
Hope I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's terrible.
Oh no! Knock on wood. Knock on wood, good sir. Um, but yeah, no. Vincent and I were talking about it because I don't know if you saw his Facebook, but pretty early on in this whole situation, he was pointing out that, can we? He prefaced it because a lot of people were taking it negatively right from jump, but he was trying to say like, I'm not saying I'm okay with losing 3% of the population or the elderly or whatever the death rate was. I'm just saying, can we look at it does it have to be the elderly and immunocompromised people, or the economy and the economy of small business? There has to be a way for us to figure out how to do both and survive. And then he had a link to a CBC article that talked about Taiwan and how Taiwan was still rolling, and the kids. And dude, I gotta say, and like you were saying, there are different structures and different approaches around the world. And seeing the fact that I was watching Jesus and Mero, and that there was a clip, a baseball on-field baseball fight at a stadium in Taiwan at a baseball game during this pandemic, had me thinking like, well, someone figured something out. That like, how are these guys having baseball games? like what did they do? And then it makes me wonder, like, in North America, are we so proud that we don't want to take nods from or steal a page from the Book of Taiwan or whoever else figured out? Like, what is it that we're doing that these guys are doing differently? Because like you're saying, if you're going to go back to set, there's a lot of steps in place before people are going to feel comfortable. But these motherfuckers are playing baseball and having a brawl on the field. And I'm like, wow, like they showed the clip and there's like 40 of them in a tight group fighting. And I'm like, okay, well, if one person has it, they're all getting it. But no, they know no one has it because they've done something. So, If
there's one thing I've realized during all this is that, yes, to answer your question, yeah, there's so much pride on this side of the globe, especially, that things exist to learn from. Like literally, you know what I did like 2 weeks ago? I couldn't sleep at like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh, what's a good idea? Let's watch Contagion. Okay?
Oh God, why? Oh no.
Because I couldn't sleep. I'm like, oh well, there's nothing better to do.
I watched that in January on a lark, by the way, before all this, and that really messed with me. God. Anyways, sorry.
That is literally a roadmap
to
what is happening.
Yeah.
And still, nobody's listening.
I know.
It's literally like from the bat, like everything is like literally like the numbers are. There's phrases that there's the Lawrence Fishburne, who's my favorite. Like, I'm like, nigga is saying exactly what
Fauci
we need to hear, and still nobody is like listening to the art. Right? It's like, oh my God, like what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
So a baseball game is not gonna change the minds over here.
No, you just made a really solid statement though. Like the art was telling us, and that's big. That's a big statement. Like it
always is. It always
is.
The good stuff always is, because that's the job, right? James Baldwin, I think, said like, if I love you, the role of the artist is the same as the lover. Because if I love you, I have to show you things about yourself that you don't want to see.
Hot damn. Okay.
And it's like, that's what good art does. It shows you yourself. It shows you the world. It's a mirror to society.
Yeah.
That's film, that's theater, that's video games, that's everything. That's all the stuff that we're talking about, all the Marvel stuff that we love. People connect to that because they see themselves in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it connects to us. But when you don't want to see that, it's a whole cognitive dissonance thing that is crazy. But
yo, dude,
I got no hope. No, not today.
I mean, like we said, man, it's hard being an optimist in this situation. I to everyone out there who, like, I have some friends that I know turn to me to be the optimist. I know for a fact, like, they'll message me and be like, okay, man, you got to hit me up. Like, I need some of that jolly positive vibe. and I'm just like, yeah, exactly. You laugh because you probably got some of those messages too, like, and
Because I'm scared. Because when I don't have it, I'm like,
yeah.
we're all done. It's over.
And that's what I said to them. I was just like, yo, I got to be honest with you. There ain't none on this side of the either. But I will tell you this. We can commiserate together and slowly go insane because, we'll just have to all go to therapy after. And that's the thing. I feel like we're all just going to be going to a lot of therapy after this. And I'm okay with that. There have been times where I've thought maybe talking to a therapist would be good. I've never spoken to one. In our community, yeah, no, I've never spoken to one, and in our community, like growing up, it wasn't something that was discussed.
You don't take inside things outside.
Exactly, and especially
as if it's some betrayal. It's like,
yeah,
nigga, take care of yourself.
Yeah. I'm hurting y'all because I need to talk out the things that are hurting me. No, right. I'm not doing it to you. I'm trying to fix myself. But yeah, so culturally, it's always been that thing of like, do I need it? And my best friend's South Asian, and him and I literally always say, you gotta laugh, because if not, you just cry. And we just end up laughing at some of the stuff that we genuinely afterwards will say to each other, like, I really do think I should talk to someone about that. But then we laugh when we say that, and that's the crazy part.
But like even before all this, that is always my go-to of healing. Is comedy, is laughter, is, if I'm uncomfortable, I make a joke until I take it really seriously. Like, I'm annoying that way, but it's that thing of like, I've been watching nonstop, like, comedians and stand-ups that I love.
Yeah.
Watching Insecure, watching all these comedies, watching
so good.
85 South Show, DC Young Fly, and these guys. Like, it's just, I find stuff rather that makes me feel that I can release like joy.
Yeah.
Because that's my coping mechanism. That's that's my shield. That's how I deal with the things. I like to feel better instead of just like, oh, but what if, and then I'm like, oh, kill me now.
Yeah.
Because it gets real heavy real fast. So it's like, how do you release? How do you keep your lungs like, in and out? How do you just find laughter? And that's literally what I've been doing unconsciously now that I think about it. But I guess it is consciously on some level that I've just been finding ways to laugh and smile and watch shit that is like makes me feel good.
Yeah. I mean,
energy is transferable, right? Like it vibrates, and
I was gonna
like,
say it's one of those things of like, some people say fake it till you make it, but in this case, it's more just like program yourself to make it. Like, my brain is just like, okay, I need you to have a release of endorphins and like positive vibes. So I'm gonna keep kind of pushing you to watch comedy and good and content that makes you happy. Because that's it. In my case, I'm watching like I'm a weirdo, and I actually should ask you because you're an actor. So, but I watch a lot of TV shows at 1.5 speed.
Yeah,
and
that's.
Yeah. See, we'll talk about that in one second. We'll talk about that in 1 second.
Why you do that?
But I watch a lot of TV at 1.5 speed, and I just find like I've been watching a lot of, like, I watch the show 20s, that BET show.
It's amazing.
Oh, dude. Oh my God, it is so good. Like I like, it's one of those shows. So one of the things is and the guys on my podcast always tease me about it. Like, I watch TV at 1.5 speed, and if something's really good, I'll watch it at 1x, because I like it so much that I'll stop speed watching.
Although that's funny to me.
I know. I have a lot of friends.
Because you want to get through a lot of things?
Yeah, dude. Like, I watch in 1 week. I've watched in this weekend alone, I watched the entire run of Gangs of London from Sky, that new series. I've watched the movie The Gentleman. I've watched the entire run of Tacoma FD season 2. I've watched I finished season 1 because I realized I couldn't finish it. Finished season 1, caught up in season 2. Like if I gave you the list of everything I watched just this weekend alone, you'd be like, how's that possible? And it's because I watch them at 1.5. I know. And I know that I regularly have people tell me, like, you're messing with your ability to process content, right? Like, you are speeding through it, that when you start watching things at regular speed, they're going to feel weird. And I know. I know that. I accept that
Wow,
now. I do. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. See, whenever I talk to people
that's
who,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
I know. It's because I started doing it at first because I just always wanted to watch so much stuff so I could talk about it on my podcast. But then it just
yeah.
turned into always watching everything at that speed because I was just always watching everything at that speed. Yeah.
And do you find you don't have the intended experience that the creators designed?
Oh, well, that's yeah.
Because
So my buddy
like
Brent,
the like any like pauses or like dramatic things, do you find like you experience that the same way everybody else does, or does
I
it go too fast?
I truly believe I still experience them. I don't think I experience them the way the director, creator, writer, actor, like all the different parts that are put together to make a scene a scene. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily think I got it the way they may have intended, but I still think I get the weight of those moments. I still, like I think one of the best examples I always give people is the comedic pause. Like when I'm watching a comedy, the comedic pause and the delivery is still there. It's sped up though. So
right, right,
if the timing is like da 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 da, for me it's da 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 da. Like
right.
I still get it. I just
It's
deliver
just
different.
quicker.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
like so, and some a lot of people are just like, well, you obviously aren't retaining everything then, but then I'll have conversations with people about TV shows, and I remember more than they do, and I remember
Right.
the way the scenes were set up, and I remember like I think the first episode of Titans when it first started, there was a shot, and there was like a specific thing about the lighting and the security camera and how the room was set up, and none of my friends caught that, but I watched that first episode at 1.5 speed the first time, caught it,
Mm.
and then rewatched the episode at 1 speed to make sure I didn't miss anything. And people who all watched it once or even more times than me and didn't even notice that. And I was just like, okay, so obviously I'm not missing things.
Mm.
I know.
Well, you're wired. You're wired differently. Just
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
all
Yeah.
that
I mean,
stuff.
yeah. When I was lucky enough to I was invited to interview Spike Lee. One of my friends dared me to tell him that I do that, and I chickened out obviously because I didn't want to get backhanded by one of the most
Because
amazing
he
people.
he likes to talk shit.
Oh,
People
dude,
as well.
I just brought up how much I love VHS, and he started talking shit. He was like, "No, watch that in 4K." Like he started just saying like, "Why are you
Yo,
watching?"
one time, wow, what was the name of the movie? We went to the screening of not his last film. It was like one of his last four films.
Okay,
Um,
recent films, because it's what Black Klansman, and then no Inside.
nah, two before that. Not Red Hook Brooklyn. The one before that. It
Oh.
was like these Christians who were like vampires.
That does sound dope.
But like somebody was like, wow, what an interesting movie, Mr. Lee. Thank you for your time. What was the symbolism of the image at the end? He's like, what you think of me? He just like ripped into this lady, and I'm like, she's trying to get up. She's waiting like at the microphone for 10 minutes to ask him a question, and he's just like, man, what the fuck you think of me? I don't know. I'm not gonna answer that. You make it up for yourself. It's
Yeah.
like, wow. Like I understand what he's trying to say, but it's like, don't be a dick about it. Like, I like Spike Lee. I
Oh,
have
dude.
all his everything, every box set, everything. But like, it's funny you mentioned 20s. Yeah, that show is it's really great.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Like, so Lena Waithe is a genius.
Yes.
I really like her work.
Yes.
And shout out to Gabrielle Graham. That's my buddy. She's from Toronto. She plays what's her name on the show? She's like the actor on the show.
Oh, Nia?
Yeah, she plays Nia.
That girl's from. She's from Toronto.
Yeah, we worked together on 21 Thunder. It's on Netflix. You can watch that.
Dope. Yo, dude, she's great. She is really good on that show.
She's amazing. She's the next one up. She's like, now that Hollywood has her, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I think she has like 2 horror movies coming out too this year. So
Yeah,
shout out to
she's my
Gabrielle.
crush.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's 20s is it's an interesting conversation because I'm like, man, if this existed when we were in our 20s, I don't know that like these conversations.
yeah,
What am I trying to say? The art is. It's not that people are making space for these stories now. It's that people are realizing, let me just shut the fuck up and let the people that are supposed to tell the story tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I find everything that is from Lena Waithe's pen Queen and Slim.
Yeah.
I
The
love
Shy.
Queen and Slim. I've had so many debates about Queen and Slim. It's great because she just like she goes there
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and visually, like she tells stories visually
yeah,
that you don't have to talk about. It's like, oh, we know why her hair is like that. We know why he drives that car. We know why,
yeah.
they
This,
would run from this situation
yeah.
and
The
go
cultural
from the north
significance.
to the south. Like it's such a smart way of storytelling. But yeah, I keep thinking about like how even during all this, the thing that keeps everybody sane and keeps everybody together for the most part
Mm,
is entertainment. It's art.
yeah,
It's like it's the artist that always, it's people are going to music, movies, TV to get through it, but
yeah.
still oftentimes the artists are the ones who get the least amount of
Yo,
funding or love
you
or
just
any type of support.
you brought it back to what I was saying before. You brought it back
It's
to what I was
crazy.
saying at the beginning. It really is, and man, that's a good point. Like the thing that is helping most people get through this is the one thing that I feel we don't value as much. And I'm hoping once this is over that people will start being like, "Yo, we really need to value this stuff because it helped
Yeah,
us get through a pandemic." I
yeah.
like every show
And
I
this is
watch.
everybody. This is
Yeah,
every Republican or conservative
everyone.
politician.
Yeah,
They go home and they're watching TV.
yeah,
They're listening to music. They're
yeah,
listening to fucking whoever they listen to. I'm
yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
diss
yeah,
nobody, but it's like there's 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 not a person on the planet that doesn't go to some form of entertainment. Could be a board game, could be
yeah,
a comic book, or whatever it is that is still coming from some artistic avenue that needs the support now more than ever. And
yeah,
how do we do that when it's like we don't know what tomorrow brings, right?
yeah. Man, that was so great. Thank you, man, dude. This
Yeah,
conversation
man.
has been amazing. I've had such an amazing time talking with you. Like, I just, I feel like there's stuff I didn't even touch on that I in my head before.
Oh, we didn't talk about anything.
I...
We were just talking shit. But yeah, no, I appreciate you and appreciate you keeping this going. Final thoughts, I'll just say just be kind if possible to each other.
yeah.
Uh, go watch. Let me plug some shit. Go watch Long Shot.
Yes.
It's a really good movie. Uh,
Amazing. So funny.
uh, and yeah, just do what you got to do to see tomorrow.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much, Tristan. This has been amazing. I'm definitely
Thanks,
going to hit
man.
you up to have another conversation because I realized one
Yeah,
thing
sure.
I wanted to talk about, and I don't. Maybe we could even talk about when I saw you, Bean Duck did that panel at Comic Con, and you and
Yes.
Goldfarb talked about the type of like union and the intellectual property of your mocap being saved and reused. That was one thing, and when we were talking about it before, I wanted to talk about, but then we went on so many great tangents that I didn't get a chance to.
Mm.
Is that something we could talk about right now? Do you think we have time?
That's a big conversation, but let's save it. Let's save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. Okay, because I definitely
Yeah.
want. I feel like there's a lot to be said in that, and I want to have that
Yeah,
conversation with.
there's.
Dope. Okay, well then that just means we got to come back, man. I really appreciate
Nope.
this,
Hey,
dude.
I have nothing but time, literally.
Okay, I'll hit you up soon then. Thank you so very
I'll be
much.
on the couch.
On this side or that side? Yeah.
Maybe this side, yeah.
All right.
Cool, man.
And your socials. That's the one thing I was trying to sign off with. To like.
Oh
What?
yeah. On IG and Twitter it's TD Lalla, TDLALLA. And on Facebook is just type in Tristan D Lalla
Mm.
and my fan page will pop up.
Dope. Okay, folks, that's pretty
Cool.
much it. That was the whole discussion. But there's so much more to be discussed. And again, thank you to Tristan. And we'll be back with another one very, very soon, folks.